up to two big fights. First of all, we have UFC on ESPN Plus 4 coming up for Rafael Dos Anjos taking on Leon Edwards. UFC 237 will be UFC 240 will be on July 27th, and Cyborg takes on Felicia Spencer to co-main event. And Jason, how are you doing today? And welcome back to the Fight Report.
I'm good, man. Sean, how you doing, bud? Thanks for having me on, man. How's everything going?
Oh, everything's going well, man. I appreciate the time and look forward to break down these fights with you. First of all, I imagine that you're getting busy both with Cyborg and RDA. They're both fighting. Obviously, their fights so close to one another. Talk about how you're able to run the camp specifically for each one.
Well, RDA's obviously is somewhat of a short notice fight, and fortunately, both those two are always in the gym 24 hours. Though that's both of those guys' life. Fortunately, they got a very similar lifestyle. Their main focus is always training. They don't drink. They don't smoke. They don't party. They don't. They've got their families, and and that's what they spend most of their time to do. And they hang their families and they train. Cyborg's been out in South Africa also. She's been back and forth in South Africa. She's out there right now finishing camp out there. So that makes it a little easier on me. Yeah, it's the same old song and dance. I mean, 2 months ago, in 5 weeks, I had 4 fights, with guys are in the gym training. Camp's always going on. I mean, I always say it time and time again. People always, I hear prelim fighters going, I'm going to start camp this week. What the fuck are you talking about starting camp? You're training. I mean, you start camp, I think, when you're champion. When you're champion, now you take a little time off here and there and talk about when you're going to start camp. But, when you're a fighter and you're trying to be a champion, I mean, if you're a fighter, that should be your goal anyways. Now, it shouldn't be to be a champion at the end of the day. So with that being said, you should always be in the gym, and camps are for the champs.
For sure. And talk about the upcoming fight for Cyborg. How do you think she's going to perform in the next fight against Felicia Spencer? And, tough loss, obviously, when she lost to Amanda Nunes. How do you believe she'll come out on July 27th?
Well, if you heard any interviews, and I'm sure you've interviewed me about Cris before in the past, and I always hold the highest confidence in Cris, and regardless of what happened in her last outcoming, her last show, I'm really confident in this fight. This girl, I know she's undefeated, I believe. There's experience that Amanda Nunes was able to capitalize off her past experience and taking advantage of a situation when she was in it and capitalize off of it. I don't believe this girl has the same type of experience, and you gotta have something special. I know she's a good grappler. I know on the ground she what she did with Megan Anderson her last fight. Obviously she's strong, to take a big girl down like that and put her out the way she did. So it's an exciting fight. I'm excited to just see Cris get back in there and do what she does. I feel there's a little bit of a mental glitch in her last fight. I think that's our excuse. That's my excuse, at least, but at the end of the day, it's going to be good to see her get out there, get her hand raised, and get her confidence back.
And also talk about, is there anything in training camp that's different you're noticing about her so far?
Well, no way. When I worked with her last, she's the same Cris Cyborg. She's always going to be the Cris Cyborg. And she's, like I said, she's out in South Africa right now doing some training. So, I haven't seen her for a few weeks now. So, we'll see. But for me, it's Cris always comes back. She's the same person. For me, it's making sure Cris is in the right state of mind. Sure. Of course, we all as athletes and as coaches and whatever are going to continue to improve inches to our game here and there and fundamentally sound and mechanics here and there with our coordination or whatever. But really, at the end of the day, it's where your focus is at and what your dedication is to it. And she's dedicated to it just like she always is. And her mind seems that. Well, the only thing that worries me is when I'm not around her for a few weeks, so I don't know where her head's at. You know what I mean? Right. Because every fighter it's a roller coaster. You know, there's a lot of pressure on these guys when they're coming into these high profile fights, and you know, it's a head game, yeah. You know, so you know, physically, I know she's gonna be ready. She sounds ready mentally and spiritually. So I'm expecting a really good show from her.
And she made the choice herself to go to South Africa. Was that something she was invited to be part of a training camp for someone?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, she made that. She made sure she liked that. She was doing a lot of charity work out there, and she
Okay.
really fell in love with the people out there, and she really enjoys. You know, she likes the people out there. She likes the training. There's a training partner that's worked with us for the last couple of fights, Don Madge, who's out there, and she trains. She spars with him, and I'm sure he has some coaches out there helping her out as well.
Definitely. And then we talk about Felicia Spencer. I know former Invicta FC Women's Champion. The challenge she represents, and as you saw, she did dispatch of Megan Anderson quite quickly. So, how do you feel that Cyborg is going to do with her if the fight might hit the ground? How you feel her preparation will be?
Well, I'm hoping it's great. Yeah. Well, there's another thing. You know, there's a lot of really good grappling work she gets out here, and there's some good wrestling training she gets out here, and I'm sure they have that as well out there in South Africa. But for me, it's like, you know, if we don't recall, I mean, Holly Holmes beat Megan Anderson on the ground. I
Right.
mean, you tell me how many times you see Holly Holmes shooting doubles and singles and taking people down and beating them on the ground. You've seen that once, maybe. You know, I mean, I don't know. I've watched a lot of Holly Holmes, but I didn't watch a whole lot of her, you know, working on grappling or trying to take a girl down. So, you know, there's something to be said about that. Megan Anderson, I think, is an angel. I think she's a really nice person, and I'm sure, and she seems to be a talented fighter as well. But, you know, she's well behind on the grappling game. You know, and Holly Holmes obviously exposed that. And now this girl, who obviously it was a legit grappler, we could call it, you know, went out there and it was able to submit her. So, you know, is she going to be able to do that to Cyborg? It's really hard for me to think that she has that ability. I'm sure she does. I mean, I thought Cyborg was going to, you know, smoke Amanda Nunes. That didn't go our way. That's a fight game, so anything can happen, you know. But really, at the end of the day, Cris on the ground is really, she's special. We just never get a chance to see her, you know, because it's not like Cris. Even if she does get taken down, her main thought usually is to just get back up, because she usually does most of her ass kicking up there, you know. But, you know, if she makes a choice in her mind, you know, to stay down there, you do some work down there, she can, believe me, she can hold her own on the ground. She's no joke. You know, she wrestled. I believe she beat the bronze medalist in Brazil in a wrestling match. You know what I mean? I mean, Cris is a gifted athlete, you know, and she's skilled everywhere in the game.
Excellent. Yeah, we're looking forward to a fun fight from her, of course, and Felicia Spencer's in her headlights. Two former Invicta FC Women's Featherweight champions going at each other. And then we're talking about RDA, you know, that you said it was going to be a short notice fight against Leon Edwards. UFC on ESPN 4 on July 20th. Now, the impressive win over Kevin Lee, and you think he gets an opponent like Leon Edwards, 7-fight win streak. You know, how do you feel like he's going to overcome that and get the win?
Well, you know, he's got to put his experience into play like he did in his last fight. Our last opponent, why did his name just escape me?
Kevin Lee?
Kevin Lee, you know, it very similar. I think a little. I mean, there's obviously little different styles, you know, but you know, we're going in there with you know, RDA. Obviously, everybody can say it. Everybody knows it. He's got game everywhere. He's great on the ground. He's great on his feet. He can kick. He can punch. You know, most importantly, you know, you know, his experience again is going to come into play in this fight as well. You know, and that's what we look at. You know, we're going into a 5-round fight. RDA's fought 5 rounds. You know, this will be his, I think, 5th or possibly 5th. I believe this will be his 5th or 6th 5-round fight in his last fight. He fought, you know, less than 2 months ago. He's sharp right now. He's sharp. He's coming off a big win. He didn't have any bumps and bruises in this last fight. And you know, we're going to go in there and he's going to do what he does.
And do you believe that with a win, RDA is pretty close to a title shot at this point?
Oh, 100%. You know, we're going back. RDA is doing what RDA does. He continues to do the promotion favors, and he takes fights. You know, he does it. He does it. You know, he's not. You know, he takes fights the same way anybody like a Cowboy Cerrone takes fights. You know, he takes them. You know, he's going back. RDA is number 3 in the world. He's fighting number 3. He's fighting number 11. You know, you don't need to do that. You know, you can continue to plug away and poke around at number 1 and 2. You know, and hopefully maybe even the champion. But you know, RDA is a fighter. You know, when they ask him to come fight, you know, he's going to do it. And we know we're in there with a tough kid. You know, Leon seems like he's a very, very talented athlete, and you know, he's got a lot of skill. You know, but again, RDA is a fighter, and he's gonna put this kid, I believe, in a situation that he's not been comfortable being in before.
And Kaylin Curran, you made it to the Invicta FC Women's Strawweight Tournament Finals. And how do you feel like she's improved recently since her UFC run? And, you know, obviously had, you know, quite a few losses in the UFC, and then recently coming back and, you know, almost winning that tournament, a one-night tournament as well. And how do you train fighters for that? Because this is not normal, right? Because when was the last time they've had tournaments like this?
Hey, it was a trip, man. It was really cool to see. I was really, really, really proud of Kaylin Curran. You know, just to see her. Watching a fighter's confidence improve fight to fight is one thing. Watching him fight one and then fight 3-4 months later, see him win both fights and see their confidence improve. I was watching it before my eyes, right in front of me, going into a third fight that night for a title. You know, she went from a losing streak to fight for a title in one night. You know, and I've told Kaylin for years, even when the couple fights I was with her at the end of her career with the UFC, I should say, is, you know, we're in there tough. You know, she's learning on the job. She was put in. I believe she was a little over her head in the UFC. I believe she's one of the most athletic girls, one of the most athletic fighters I trained. I'll be honest, and I tell her that time and time again. She really is. It's just getting her experience, getting her mind right, and putting it all together. You know, she's in the midst of doing that right now, and you know, I think it was a lot of confidence came off of that tournament that she was in, and we're working on. I'm working on scheduling her fight. I believe we're shooting for August 8th or 9th, I believe it is, for Invicta out in Kansas City. So she's in the middle of training camp right now, getting ready for that. So. You know, we're shuffling through opponents right now, trying to finalize one. But yeah, I'm excited about Kaylin. You know, she's you know, I'm close with her and her husband and her family, and you know, she's a special little project for me, and I think that she's got a lot of ability. And I think she can do something if she stays with it.
And are you excited for Michael Bisping's new book about his career? And what do you believe defined him more, the opponents he fought or winning the title? Because he fought a lot of great opponents in his time.
He did. So say that again. Ask that question again.
What do you think defined him more, the opponents he fought or winning the belt?
Well, you know, the belt ends up defining everybody now, doesn't it? I mean, because don't get me, if you don't win a belt, the fights that you fought and the fighters that you fought will define you, you know. But as soon as you win that belt, that's a definition of you. You know what I mean? But sure, I think it's both. I think just the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, you know, he's got so many layers. A kid, you know, the man, I should say. But he's got so many layers, and you know, from personality to personality to skills to heart to, there's just so much that the guy's got and that he's brought into the sport and that he's shown and that a lot of other fighters in the future can learn from. So yeah, but you can never take a title away from a man, you know. So you can argue fights, but you can't argue a title. And is that his defining? I think it's all. I think it's a whole kit and caboodle. But you know, everybody remembers the champ.
And that's going to be a must-read for you. You're excited to see some the history behind that book and that you shared with Michael?
100%. I'm continuing to be proud of him time and time again. He gets inducted to the Hall of Fame this weekend. I fortunately get to present him into the Hall of Fame, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm honored to do that, I should say. And yeah, No, I'm excited. He gets inducted in the Hall of Fame. His book's going to come out, and he's got a big documentary being filmed as well right now.
Okay, well, we're excited to hear that. More from Michael Bisping. Obviously, congratulations to him and 2019 Hall of Fame. And Jason, I thank you very much for taking time to be on the Fight Report today. And of course, everybody check it out. July 27th, we got Cyborg up against Felicia Spencer at UFC 240, and UFC on ESPN 4 is going to be taking place on July 20th. Rafael dos Anjos takes on Leon Edwards. And Jason, I'd like to ask you 2 quick predictions if you have time, and before I let you go, okay?
Okay.
Give me a second.
I probably